Now, you may be thinking you don't have time to make bread, but this soft sourdough bread recipe is easily mixed up in 5 minutes. One day, you just set it out and let it rise. Stick it in the refrigerator. And then when you get ready to use it, you take out what you need, let it rise, and then you have wonderful, soft sourdough bread.
Welcome to Homemade Cooking in Texas. I'm Carolyn Gibson from Dogwood Gardens, where homemade cooking is surprisingly easy, healthier for you and your family, saves money, and tastes great. Come join me today as I share my favorite recipes, and I hope they will become your favorite recipes. And don't forget, like and subscribe to my channel.
This recipe is found from the book Artisan Bread in 5 minutes a day, and I will leave a link in the description box for you.
Now I just love sourdough bread, but I don't like the hard, crusty type. I don't like the chewy type that pulls your teeth out. I like a softer sourdough bread, but I'm not going to use a starter. I'm going to use a refrigerated method and let this set in the refrigerator for about a week to develop that sourdough taste. Now I'm starting out with 3 cups of lukewarm water. That's water between 100 and 110. And then I'm going to add a stick of melted butter. And I'm adding salt, sugar, and yeast. I'm just going to kind of mix this up a little bit before I put it in my bowl. Salt, and now I use Himalayan salt, and sometimes it doesn't dissolve real good, so I'm going to get that in there. And then I'm going to add my 7 cups. This is all-purpose flour that is unbleached. It's just a matter of, I've got my dough hook on here. Okay, I've put my shield on here. I don't want flour all over me. Now I'm going to start at the number 1 slowest speed, just to kind of start getting it mixing. Now, according to the KitchenAid directions, you never want to use your dough hook more than at the speed number 2. So I'm just kind of getting all the ingredients incorporated right now. And now I'm fixing to turn it to 2. Okay, now wasn't that easy? Now I'm ready to put this in a large container with a lid. Now I don't want it airtight, I just want a lid to go on it. You can use a big bowl with a lid, you can use like your Tupperware cake pans, you can use a bucket with a lid. But main thing you need to think about, will it fit in your refrigerator? Because I'm going to let this set in the refrigerator for a week so it'll really develop that sourdough flavor. You just need to push that in. Give that a twist. And I mean, everything just came right out with more work to it. It's just a matter of putting the lid on. Okay, now I've let this rest. It's going to take up to 2 hours if you have something else to do and have to move around. You can wait 4 or 5 hours. Now you can see it rose to the top. You can see where the dough is up on the lid. And then it rose and then it deflated. Now right now I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and wait about a week. And then I'm going to be ready to make my bread. I mean, I could make it tomorrow if I wanted to, but I want the sourdough taste to really have a time to develop.
Okay, after you're mixing it, you're placing it in a large bowl with a cover. You're letting it set at room temperature around 2 hours. 4 to 5 hours is okay. The dough will rise to the top and then deflate or flatten out. Then you're going to refrigerate your dough overnight or up to a week. Now, the longer it sets in the refrigerator, the more the sourdough flavor will develop.
Okay, my dough has been in the refrigerator for about 4 days, and this is my baking day, so let's get started. Now, I've taken it out of the refrigerator. It's still very cold. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and grease my loaf pan. I don't want, when you're using these recipes, you have to use a non-stick pan, but you still have to grease it really well or it's going to stick. I'm even going to get these tops here. Now I'm using coconut oil if you wanted to use butter or whatever fat that you want to use. Okay, I've got that ready to go. And I'm going to put a little flour on my dough here. And then I want about the size of a cantaloupe. I want about 1.5 pounds of it. So I guess it depends on how big your cantaloupes are. I've got about this size. If I was going to weigh, it'd be about 1.5 pounds. Okay, now I've got my parchment paper here. I put water on my working surface so the parchment paper would stand down, and I've just got it just strictly to make an easy cleanup. Now I'm going to put a little more flour on here, and I just want to, I'm not kneading it, I'm just stretching the dough around into a circle, cloak. I'm putting this kind of down inside itself on the bottom. Now it's a ball, but I want it to be I'm going to start elongating it so it'll fit in the loaf pan. Okay, now I'm ready to put it in the loaf pan. It looks that's about the right size. And now I'm ready to let this rest for 1 hour and 40 minutes. Before I do, I'm going to sprinkle it with a little more flour, just so I can put slashes in it and the knife will not stick to the bread. And then I'm going to I'm putting melted coconut oil on it. You can do melted butter. I need to let this set for 1 hour and 40 minutes. But I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour and 30 minutes to give my oven plenty of time to preheat. 1 hour and 40 minutes. Now you can see how it looks. Now you're thinking it might not have risen enough, but it will rise some more as it cooks in the oven. Now I'm going to put it in, my oven's been preheated. It needs to cook for about 45 minutes, but I'm going to set my timer for 35 minutes so I can start testing it. Because each time you make it, if you're not exactly measuring it, you don't know exactly how much bread you didn't know how much dough you put in there. My size of pans aren't exactly what I wanted them to be. So anyway, I'll just test it in about 35 minutes.
Now, many cookbooks will tell you to tap your bread if it sounds hollow, it's done. But I mean, what does hollow sound like? I test my bread with a thermometer. Bread is done at 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, I checked this after about 35 minutes, and I used my thermometer to check it and determined it needed another 5 minutes. So this loaf baked about 40 minutes. Now, it's real important when you take homemade bread out of the oven that you let it completely cool on a cooling rack before trying to slice it. Just can't believe how good this smells. So it's really going to be hard to wait for this to completely cool. But I've turned it upside down. I've got it on my cooling rack, and after it has completely cooled, we'll come back, slice it, and show you how it looks. Okay, my bread has completely cooled. I've sliced it up. I'm ready to take it home, enjoy it with some butter, olive oil, a little garlic, and some Italian seasonings. It has that chewy sourdough taste, but it's not so chewy and tough that it pulls your teeth out, and it has a nice soft crust. which us older people enjoy, and probably children too. This is going to taste so great with my Italian food, or any sandwich tastes better with sourdough bread because it tastes great.
Now, if you prefer crusty sourdough bread, I will leave you a link in the description box. Thank you so much for joining me today at Homemade Cooking in Texas. These are my favorite recipes, and I hope they will become yours. Now, if you enjoy these recipes, please like and subscribe so you can see more of these type recipes. We have been making a full-time living here on our organic farm since 1991. We need your support to continue our small family farm by liking and subscribing to our channel. Thank you so much.